I want to welcome you to the worship ministry of Sonrise Church. Over our history of Sonrise, we have met in a lot of different locations, and we are getting ready to move into our new facility. But I'm also reminded that worship is not about a place, but a person, the person of Jesus. There's a story in 1 Chronicles 28 where David brings everybody together, all of his officials, and as he gathers them together, he begins to tell them what God has called him to do. He says, "My brothers and my people, it was my desire to build a temple where the Ark of the Lord's covenant, God's footstool, could rest permanently." He was called to bring the presence of God into the temple and create a space for God's presence. But he realized that he was not the one to do that. His son Solomon would be the one. In verse 9 it says, "And Solomon, my son, learn to know the God of your ancestors intimately. Worship and serve him with your whole heart and a willing mind. For the Lord sees every heart and knows every plan and thought. If you seek him, you will find him." I love that reminder to worship and serve him with your whole heart. And I would encourage you, Sonrise worship team, to worship and serve him with your whole heart. The other thing that's important is our attitude. Paul, the apostle, tells the Philippian church to have the same attitude as Jesus Christ had, the attitude of a servant. Even Jesus didn't lord it over people. He served them and he washed their feet. And so we need to have attitudes of servants. So when we serve each other as worship team members, we help the whole church have this experience of Jesus in this place. The other thing I want to talk about is our tone. Colossians 3:12 instructs us, says, "Since God chose you to be his holy people, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you." Our tone should be gentle. It should be patient. And one of the things that we value in our worship ministry is to have a gentle tone, a patient tone in all that we do. There's moments in our worship ministry that are a little hectic and stressful, and yet God has called us as his chosen people to be gentle and patient with each other. And so we want that to be a huge value in our ministry. And so there's been times when I haven't always had a gentle and patient tone with those around me. And I'm just thankful for those who come alongside me, put their arm around me and say, "Hey, it's gonna be all right." And we pray for one another, we encourage one another, we remind each other of the kind of environment that we want to create on a weekly basis. The last thing is keeping our eyes on the mission of making known the living Christ and living for him. Our theme verse is 2 Corinthians 5:15, and I would encourage you to memorize that, to remember it each and every week, that he died for everyone so that those who receive his new life will no longer live for themselves, but live for Christ. Thank you for being a part of the Sonrise worship team. I'm excited to get to know you more, to serve with you, to worship with you. And let's be a part of creating that kind of environment, the presence of God, our attitude, our tone, and keeping our eyes on the mission. I included some real practical aspects. Planning Center Online is a tool that we use for scheduling and planning. And so those things will be included in a document. But I just appreciate your involvement in the Sonrise Worship Ministry.